Now, Dr. Keshava Rao.
Thank you, sir. Well, I'll give just, we must consider this. First of all, I'm very unhappy with the bill. At the same time, I support the bill. Well, life itself is paradox. Because the reality situation, the complexities of the socio-economic conditions of this country need to be understood before we talk about this child labor. The fact is, it is a curse to be born a poor and a cruelty to live one. We know all this, but that is the reality. This is not the new bill at all. These few amendments I have brought in, and I don't think maleficent things are added to it. We have brought in adolescent here. Question today is, why do we want this to be prevented? You have linked it directly with that of RTE. I think all the members were provoked by the presence of Mr. Javadekar here at the new HRD and started talking about the only education system. This has nothing to do with education. You are preparing a ground where you don't allow the children to go to one side and allow them a scope to get into the schools. They're entirely different. But if Javadekar Sahab can really attract those boys of that age group into his schools, not saying school, but a play schools, wherein they can be attracted and taught, things would have been different. Then he has to look into the schooling system, he has to look into the syllabus, he has to look into the training, monitoring, all these things. That's another matter. So I'm not trying to talk. I'm not trying to talk about the, I'm not trying to talk about the foreign affairs and all other things. I'm also not becoming such emotional like Ravi Verma can do. We all know the kind of situation we have inherited. But the question today remains that something like 500,000 people, that is also a wrong figure. If you are taking unorganized sector into it, it is more than 2 crores, because 1.3 crores is in the agricultural labor, in which you are sure 80% of people are children. If you take it to that, a lot of people are there. That is the reality situation. That is the reality check. Now what do? We had some kind of a thing known as the prohibition of child labor. We don't want our children to go into work and get out of the schools. I'm not also getting into semantics, not nuances of the words as to whether a child should be called labor or not. Those are things which can look to be looked into. Now how do we face this reality? This is the bill. There was one bill. They thought that it needs some kind of amendments so that it can be tightened. But one thing, let me tell you, because Jadavji said 1 or 5, because he had spoke before me, he just said 5 things which I wanted to refer as points. So the question today is, the bill that you have brought in had few porous, as she says, are few wantings in that. Some kind of I would consider them as a vacuum, but there are few distinct also. First, the age. Let me tell the even Advocate General from Tamil Nadu that the age of a particular this bill need not be the age of other bills also. Every bill, when he is talking about its subject, will describe what age should fit to that. So age is not the problem for me. Age has become a problem because you have directly linked it with RTE. What you said is either 6 to 14 or by talking about RTE, you said or what this section so and so of the RTE says. That RTE section says until he completes his elementary. I either complete my elementary up to 14th year or I may take some more years. Having connected that here, there is some kind of a distortion or disconnection which the honorable member from Tamil Nadu wanted to explain. There are very pertinent things you must look into, since you have brought it in already there. Now the second question today arises is, now you had given some kind of exemption. On the new subject that brought in adolescents, it is not for sale. First of all, you totally banned the child labor. That's all right. But totally banned it. Whether correct or not, there is a debate going on in the world. There is a very strong, deep debate going on in this country as to whether totally banning children from going there in particular socio-economic conditions, is it right or wrong? Will it be a burden or will it solve the problem? I will not go into that. But nonetheless, I think it's a good step provided we are able to implement it. Because legislation is not a permanent, a good solution or a foolproof solution to the issues that we raise. It is at best a legitimate, it gives at best the legitimacy. We have removed dowry, but dowry still continues. All sorts of things. So it is that is what every member here wanted to say. How do we implement it? When we say about the exemptions that you brought in, about the homework, the work in the family, the domestic field. Now, where is the monitoring system we have? As it is, since I have been along with you in the Minister Day in the Labour, you don't have the inspectorate at all. The implementation that this thing is left to the states. What is the inspectorate strength there? Have we improved the resource there? No, we have not. So now you are trying to monitor the entire state or entire country. That becomes another problem for you. But yet it should be there. I am only trying to bring in what kind of things that you, what issues that I should draw your attention to. Sir, then other thing, hazardous, use the word. My honorable member was very right. From 18 you have brought into 3 is good because you have generalized the subject like mining, what you call explosive setting. But the hazardous, you have just copied it from the Factories Act. That is not correct here because this is child labor. There is Factories Act. In the Factories Act, we have brought in 18, thinking that any consequence of such an accident there would lead to a certain kind of situation. When you are talking about child, that would not done. What you have done is in your own haste, or I don't want to say that, but you have brought in the same thing copied because I have seen the wordings are also brought from there, brought into the schedule. That also needs to be looked into, but what you have said, saving grace is, you said the center can, the central government, if it so wants, can change the schedule. Sir, this again I bring to adolescent, the exemptions you gave. Adolescent, it says, in these 3 categories, is exempt and it can work. But there is other non-hazardous fields where a man is put to some kind of harassment, put to moral torture. Man is 18. The ILO spoke about in 138 about the same thing. When it wanted a ban on this child working, they brought it this particular issue about the physical, moral, mental torture that man is put to. Now, we are not only aiming at child not going to work at that particular age, holding age, because only he should go to school. Because if that is your only cause, he will go to school for 8 hours, after that he goes and working. So it's an integrated thing. What I am saying is, we have made the best effort. It is, I think, an improvement, but though not enough. Much needs to be done, and the 5 points which Mr. Jadhav said, please, I join with him and I agree totally with him, excepting I would like to again remind you, this National Child Labour Project which you brought in should come into the picture. If you are trying to implement this, don't forget about your NCLP, because that could be an answer to many of the defects we are now trying to say. Because you can have your own schooling system, for proper rehabilitation with a schooling system, with a training system, yes, that will do it. Yes. Sir, I will tell you one, sir. I had one word. Sir, another thing, as members have said, to my mind, see, although this is, I welcome the subject because it's an improvement on the earlier act, and it will be one, it will continue. But no policy instrument, a legislation like this, can be read in isolation, which you have done. In view of there are conclusive enactments. Please, it has to be worked in collaboration, in coordination with other ministries, particularly the HRD, then the child and women's welfare.
Now, please.
A coordinated approach by these 3 would only be able to achieve this. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Keshava Rao ji. Thank you very much.
कहने को तो नाम पाकिस्तान है, लेकिन हरकतें उसकी हर नापाक हैं। मैं कहता हर हरकतें नापाक हैं। आज एक हमारे देश में कोई आतंकवादी मारा जा रहा है और हमारे आंतरिक मामलों में पाकिस्तान हस्तक्षेप करेगा।